Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Cypher Alpha, and if you did not know, we normally cover older or classic games in this channel, or just games in general. In this video we'll be talking about Age of Fear, the Undead King Gold. I'm a little familiar with the series, but not really that well versed with the gameplay itself. From what I understand, this game is a greatly expanded version of the first game in the series, called the Free World, and makes a number of improvements, such as an open world. The first one, from what I can surmise, was mostly a linear game. This one adds global events, faction bases, as well as new units. It also includes a workshop, which has some additional mods, not too many, but it has a few, that can be added as well. Now, from what I gather, it isn't necessary to play through the earlier titles in this series, as the stories between the games are only loosely interconnected. Now, AOF, to its core, is a tactical turn-based RPG with heavy emphasis on story elements. It has a very rudimentary art style, which I kind of enjoy, but where it really shines is the tactical gameplay itself and the elements that are contained therein. But for now, let's get into the game and really see what it's all about. Thanks for watching.
Edward, son of Borin, faced the same challenges as many young noblemen in the lands near Redcastle. As the fourth son of a minor noble house, he had not even a horse or decent sword to call his own. However, what he lacked in material possessions, he made up in prowess, courage, and determination, as he showed at King William's hunting party. With a horse and weaponry borrowed from his eldest brother, he did his family proud. Edward's steady hand and careful aim meant that he could fell a deer at the farthest distance, drop a goose swiftly, and spear a charging boar through the heart before it could do the same to him with its razor tusks. But Edward was still forced to consider the outing a failure, for despite distinguishing himself in the hunt, he was unable to better his standing by garnering either the sponsorship of a wealthy merchant or the attentions of a well-dowried maiden. As Edward slowly made his way back to his tent, his thoughts drifted to the injustice that birth and wealth count for so much more than merit and honor. When the only foes to be had were forest creatures or tourney opponents with blunted weapons, there was little chance to achieve glory, wealth, or respect through martial skill. The land had known long years of relative peace and prosperity, with the dark times of the past only spoken of by graybeards around the firelight to frighten children. The darkness does not sleep. It only lies in wait for men to forget and lower their guards. Little did Edward know that, soon enough, social inequity would be the least of his worries, and his fortitude, strength, and noble heart would be tested to their very limits, perhaps even beyond. Edward's chance to impress influential nobles, merchants, and eligible ladies was drawing to a close. Afterwards, he would have to return home to play the role of the dutiful fourth son to better his family's position through selfless service without regard for his own ambitions. As luck would have it, fate provided Edward with a chance encounter with the king's chamberlain, Tybalt, an aging courtier whose eyes betrayed an incisive wisdom at odds with the foppish silks in which he was clad. "Ah, young Edward, I see that the hunt holds a little challenge for you, and that the camaraderie of the other noblemen is little to your liking. I, however, offer you a proposition that may be of great interest." "A boon I couldn't accept, sir." "This is no challenge to entertain and amuse you, boy. I dare to presume that your father still has a light purse, does he not? And you too have little coin to spend, am I right?" "Yes, sir. Though it pains me to admit it, you speak the truth." "Then listen to my proposition. The king wants to eliminate the goblins looming at the edge of our camp, and you could perhaps do something about them. The king is hardly without the resources for monetary reward." Edward's eyes lit up. Goblins could be quite dangerous, but they were no match for his sword. Because he was the fourth son, he had practiced harder, trained longer, and made more effort than any of his brothers. "Goblins, sir?" "They've stolen enough game and harassed enough men that the king is willing to pay a handsome fee to the man who gets rid of them. Since you are the son of an old friend, I could see my way to granting an advance of 500 coins for you to prepare for the job." "Thank you. I'd be honored." "Not so fast, boy. I will lend you some armor in better condition than the shambles on your back. Wouldn't want to return you to my old friend with scratches on your pretty face, or with any parts missing." Tybalt chuckled. "I'd be much obliged, sir. Thank you again for this opportunity." "You are quite welcome. I've seen how well you handle your sword, but I recommend you take a few of the mercenaries from camp with you. There are quite a few goblins out there. No sense risking your neck for gold if you don't make it home to spend it." "When should I begin?" "Now. Follow me, and we'll see what you look like in a proper suit of iron. Edward followed Tybalt to his encampment, filled with the heady anticipation of a real fight, and the prospect of some coin for an honest job. Tybalt's tale proved true. Even a novice scout could have seen the greenskins' tracks leading from the homestead off into the nearby woodland. However, as easy as the tracks were to follow, they still led Edward's party on quite a journey, moving from one campsite to another. Edward's party knew they were getting close when they eventually found campfire ashes that were still warm. A few more hours of travel saw them finally catch up to their quarry, who hadn't even bothered to post sentries. A few of the goblins were starting a fire and drinking their signature dark and heady grog. Remnants of what might prove to be their last supper lie strewn about the camp. Let the filthy creatures choke on their nasty ale as they die, Edward thought to himself as he signaled his men to rush the camp. Orders, my liege. Just tell me where to aim. Right between the ribs. This shall be a glorious day. You leave me no choice. Edward didn't have to think about his attack, as his well-trained sword arm hacked and slashed through the forest's intruders with great ease. Edward looked over the carnage of the goblin camp. Now it was strewn with green-skinned corpses, with faces fixed into grotesque masks of surprise and terror. Edward felt almost disappointed at the ease of this task. Surely not enough to make any lasting impression on the king. Even a squire could have led this party and slain this motley crew. Still, it was good coin, and he had proven he could handle the task put before him. A tracker broke Edward from his thoughts.
Sir, I found the tracks of a much larger creature. I believe that cave in the distance is an ogre's lair. What is your command?
I say that he will make for worthy prey.
But sir, ogres are fearsome beasts. I was once part of a militia band sent to fight one, and before we could subdue him, he had killed several of our best men.
Inwardly, Edward's spirit rose, for this was a worthy opponent for any knight. He didn't want to seem foolhardy and rush into peril, so he responded in a serious tone. Since we are this close to the cave, I am sure this area is part of his territory. He poses more of a threat to the folk living near this forest than that band of goblins did. By slaying him, we protect them. The tracker began to object, but Edward did not listen. He led the way up the hill and into the cave, and the hunting party followed him after only the slightest of hesitations. As they entered the cave, they nearly retched. The air hit them like a hot and fetid wall. The party slowly descended into the darkened cave with Edward at the lead, then spied the hulking figure of an ogre with crude rotting skins draped over a 9-foot wall of muscle and sinew. The beast saw them in that same moment. It let out a fierce scream and charged the party.
Need to top off me quiver. Oh, I just playing some dice.
Saddle my horse.
You should have brought a shield.
Try to stop me.
Understood.
You leave me no choice. Airmail delivery. Out of my way. Oh. Firing to victory. You leave me no choice. The fight with the ogre was fierce. Edward was amazed by how many deep wounds the beast could withstand before it finally toppled. The party took the ogre's head as a trophy, gathered their wounded comrades, and departed the cave. They felt palpable relief as they emerged from its fetid, stinking darkness into the sunlight and clean air. By evening, they caught up with the king's hunting party. Edward tried to remain outwardly stoic, but could not suppress his self-satisfaction with the outcome of his adventure. I've bested a mighty beast, which every knight needs to do. Still, it would be presumptuous to publicly boast of my deeds. I will surely be commended for this heroic feat, he thought. Edward ordered the mercenaries back to their area and headed to the king's banquet alone. The feast tent was alive with a roaring fire, festive music, and dancing ladies. The tent smelled strongly of beer, a welcome scent after Edward's long day. Tybalt immediately approached Edward. I see you've survived your little adventure, boy. I take it that your prey isn't doing so well. They are not doing well at all, sir. The greenskins won't be bothering anyone again. Very good, boy. The king will be most pleased. I am glad to help, he replied. I feel he'll be even more pleased to hear about my party's other prey, he thought. Edward had been holding the hideous decapitated head of the ogre behind his back the entire time. He now raised it high and threw it to the ground, where it landed with a sickening thud. A few dancing ladies saw the horrible battle trophy and leapt back from it shrieking. Within seconds, the raucous party was silenced. Even the musicians ceased to play. Tybalt stared aghast at the gruesome head. A long moment passed before he turned back to Edward and said, My good sir, I think that was neither necessary nor appropriate behavior. Tybalt trailed off as the sound of applause cut through the hush. Everyone turned toward the source of the clapping. It was King William. He laughed deeply before speaking.
Now that's something, boy. Not every knight that meets an ogre lives to speak of it. I knew nothing of this beast living in my forest. Tybalt, give this young lad a prize for his brilliant work. He's earned it. Now play, musicians, and let the dancing commence.
Once the music resumed and the crowd had turned from the grotesque head, Tybalt drew close to Edward and spoke. Boy, you have more luck than brains. That stunt you pulled earned William's favor, but it could just as easily have earned your head a place next to the ogre's. Understood, sir. I'll try to stick to less I'll restrain myself from performing such gruesomely dramatic gestures in the future, my lord. Here is your purse, then, and a small gift from me. This ring has served me well for quite some time. Keep the armor as well. I'm sure you will have need of it. Thank you, my lord. Edward's revelry over his accomplishment all but snuffed out over Tybalt's earlier reproach. Go on now, enjoy yourself. Those pretty ladies are looking forward to meeting you. Edward was the center of attention for the next few days. The tale of his combat with the ogre seemed to grow with each retelling, and the combination of his youthful good looks and the daring tales won the affections of several young daughters of various minor noblemen. The party ended abruptly as King William ordered the camp to break up following the arrival of a messenger from Redcastle. And soon after, the men were moving towards the capital in a long column. The messenger had brought rumors of a greenskin horde on the march. After the column's arrival at Redcastle, King William locked himself in council with the High Court. Not yet a knight, Edward wasn't permitted inside. In the next few days, many mercenaries arrived at the castle. Edward thought he might enlist a few of them in preparation for the battles likely to come.
if you made it this far, I want to thank you for watching. As you can see, the game is very interesting, has some very interesting mechanics insofar as the tactical piece of the game. There's a lot to see here. Obviously, there's a lot of scenarios you're going to run into. I think as to myself, I'm going to play the initial game first, as I want to see how the linear version kind of works out, and then kind of jump into this one a little bit later. But overall, very interesting, and I think it would certainly be based on this introduction, I think it would be a worthwhile purchase. Well, until next time, this is Cypher Alpha. I'll catch you later on the next one. See ya.